Zach Ewing here in the Dignity Health Studio, Justin Roberts and Trevor Horn for another week's edition of the BVarsity Live preview show. We have nice new shirts. You like that? You like these gray shirts? If you saw me out at Wasco on Friday night, you got to see those, and Justin and I got to see a pretty good game. It was full of highlights. It didn't end up being very dramatic, Justin.
Yeah, it didn't end up a close game, but good competitive first half, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it was 31-21 at halftime, and then it ended up 66-35. So it was a bloodbath in the second half for the Eagles, who appear to have turned a corner. There's Trevor. He's rocking the gray shirt. Yeah. Well, okay. I think we should put the camera on Trevor and just leave it there see how uncomfortable he gets.
No, we do this so often that it's unneeded and a little bit awkward.
But you look so good.
Oh, I know I look good.
So let's do some work.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna do some rankings first. Let's look at the section rankings. We're gonna dive into what is by far the biggest game of the week for most of this episode, and it's gonna be.
Wait a minute. Do you want to go frontwards or backwards?
Bakersfield and Ridgeview. Let's go backwards. Let's start.
You're gonna keep staring at me though, and I like it.
So you will see why Bakersfield Ridgeview is the biggest game, not only in Kern County, but in the central section. Maybe, well, not of the entire year in the section, but maybe of the entire year in the county at least.
We've gone black, and then we've gone Trev.
There's our beautiful Trevor Horn.
Yes.
Aw.
Thank you.
Okay, so starting these rankings at number 25, we have a new face, and it is
me.
Hold on a second.
All right, we're still
Evidently
waiting on our
it's
rankings.
me. So
Well, I'll tell you right now, who is the new face, Trevor Horn? You may be getting familiar with him this week.
New face is the Kern Valley Bronx, 5-0, playing very
the top
well.
25, huh?
They are in the top 25, and I will be making my way up to Lake Isabella tomorrow night to watch the Bronx take on Corcoran, which, if you look at CalPreps.com's section rankings, that's their toughest opponent of the year.
And I believe they're also the top two ranked teams in Division 5. So
Yep.
this could be for the number one seed, although
for the number one seed,
even with the number one seed, Kern Valley will travel.
Well, and not just that. You're looking at a Kern Valley team that it hasn't had a 10-win regular season, hasn't had a 10-win season. And they've had plenty of 9-win seasons. But if they get through this, they may go 10-0 in the regular season, and then who knows what will.
I would say they would probably go 10-0.
Yeah, they will go 10-0, and then it'll be interesting to see what a 10-0 team, a top seed, will have to do on the road every week.
Traveling at the number 9 seed in the quarterfinal.
That is just a
like
bummer and a half. I understand the decision to do that from the Central section when they brought in the High Desert League, but geez Louise, are you telling me a team that goes 10-0 then has to travel?
I don't know that you could have predicted that would happen, though.
Oh, of course you can't
that a High Desert
it.
team would go 10-0 and be that good. So,
but we can always make changes willy-nilly. They made a change in the Open Division, which we'll talk to Mark Tennis from Cal High Sports later in the show today. But make changes. Don't make a 10-0 team travel every week.
Well, we'll see what happens. But we will talk to Mark Tennis. Kern Valley very possibly could be in the state bowl discussion for small schools. Tulare Union, you see at number 24, also new to the rankings this week, a 5-0 team in Madera that got its best win of the year, beating Tulare Western. Haven't played anybody really yet, but they're going to be in that discussion for a very good seed in Division 3.
There's a couple of schools playing some good ball.
And Madera's in the CMAC with Edison, with Bullard, with Memorial, so they're going to get a chance to prove themselves. Redwood 22, Sanger 21. That's right around where those teams have been all year long. Into the top 20. El Diamante falling fast. They fall from 12 to 20. They've lost 2 in a row last week to Mount Whitney.
Yeah, tough loss last week. That was surprising to me, and a justified drop.
Yeah, and Bakersfield Christian creeping back up after that really kind of slow start. They played Ridgeview tough.
Can we go ahead and just pencil them in for a 7-3 regular season record? Is that?
Well, they got Kennedy this week.
They got the
5-0 Thunderbirds this week, so let's be careful.
So.
The Thunderbirds coming into BCHS not only 5-0, but looking for revenge for an 83-0 beatdown from last year.
I guarantee you, most of those kids will not forget that.
Yeah.
Think about the Thunderbirds too. 4 wins total in their first 6 seasons, 5 this year, and last week got their first league win in school history.
Yeah, and Bakersfield Christian, after playing Kennedy, has to go up to Delano and face Cesar Chavez next week.
Another undefeated team.
So that's another team. It's not. I don't think they're guaranteed 7-3 right now, especially with Matt Smith out. So we'll see what the Eagles can do, but they are playing well right now. Frontier at number 18. 3-1, and the only losses to Ridgeview, but they haven't been very impressive. I mean, they're kind of sneaking by teams.
They haven't won impressively yet.
Yeah, so we'll see. Now, they play Central this week. probably without Isaiah Sharp. That's going to be a tough test, but it's also a chance for them to move up. Liberty, Madera, and Memorial, a couple of 5-0 teams that haven't really been tested yet. Again, Memorial's in that CMAC where they're going to get to play some good teams. And then into the top 15, Centennial has fallen from 8 to 15 after a loss to Clovis. And you see Clovis moving up to number 14, Centennial. I mean, the story is injuries there.
They can't keep anybody healthy, and when that team is healthy, they're going to be competitive game in and game out. They lose too many big-name guys, and they're going to take some losses like this.
Clovis West also falling down to 12 after they lost to Bullard. You see CVC at number 11 with that big win over BCHS. And then into the top 10, you see the Bullard team, and then Central at 1-3, but they have the win over Bullard, and the 3 teams they've lost to are Liberty and 2 undefeated teams from the Sac Joaquin section. So that's a very, very strong 1-3 for Central.
They're a scary 1-3 team. I like Central this week as we get to it later, but it's a very scary and athletic 1-3 team.
And Dinuba at number 8, kind of that surprise, one of the surprise D2 teams. Hanford very much in the picture in D3 for the number 1 seed. Clovis North falls to number 6. They've, again, 3 good losses, but 3 losses nonetheless. And then into the top 5 we go with Liberty holding steady at number 5 despite the loss. Would have moved up to number 4 had they beat Arroyo Grande, I think. I don't know, Trevor. Liberty's a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Well, they beat Arroyo Grande last week if they don't turn the ball over 3 times. Even if they only turn the ball over twice, they could win that game. It was just I didn't understand it. The defense stacked the box and they played the run well, but then they gave up 2 big pass plays on the final series.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker for them. Lemoore slides up to number 4 as a D2 team. So don't give Ridgeview that D2 title just yet. Lemoore with wins over Clovis and Buchanan looking very good. They beat Redwood last week. And then Edison, number 1, Bakersfield with the 1-point loss to them, stays at number 2. And Ridgeview, number 3, well, guess who plays this week? It's Bakersfield at Ridgeview. So, Trevor, we couldn't get the coaches in studio this week because they are busy with practice and with teaching, but we did manage to talk to both Bakersfield coach Paul Golla and Ridgeview coach Dennis Manning, or you did.
Is this the stiff arm?
Out at
there
practice.
It is. Great
Is this
run
Jamar
right
Moyen?
there. Yeah. No, that was Sheldon Croney. Great run.
Okay.
We'll see this video
Yeah,
later on. I've spliced it in. Look at that stiff arm. Sheldon just says good night.
Get out of my way. Yeah.
You know what? And I ran into Sheldon before I talked to Dennis Manning in this interview that we're going to see, and I talked to him and Jamar Moya, and I talked to Lawrence White for a little bit. And these guys are ready for the game. They understand, but they also know that the hype that is around this game, and they're trying internally to kind of shed it and keep it on the outside looking in. But I think this is going to be a very, very interesting competitive game. And these guys understand the implications that it has. And, and they know the hype that's around it. And, like we had in the paper today, when they're pre-selling tickets, we're going to talk to Golla first. But I'm saying later on with Manning. I was just talking about Sheldon Croney just because we were showing the video. So.
Yeah, we're so we're going to talk a lot about this game today, but let's get to the interviews Trevor did. This is, first up, Paul Golla of Bakersfield High. Trevor went out and talked to him at BHS this week.
Paul Golla, head coach of the Bakersfield Drillers. Thanks for joining us on BVarsity Live. Paul, you've got a game tomorrow night against Ridgeview, 4-0 team. You guys are 1 point away from being a 4-0 team yourselves. When you scheduled this game against Dennis Manning and that Wolfpack team, you had a feeling that this is going to be this kind of impactful game in the Central Section and the State Bowl implications too, right?
I think that's probably why they scheduled us, because he knew what he had. But yeah, they're a talented group of kids over there, and it's going to be a heck of a ball game.
You guys are now 3-1 after that Edison loss. You guys have been able to beat 2 Southland teams pretty handedly. What has it been over the last 2 weeks for your offense to kind of turn the corner and really kind of show that explosion that this team has shown before?
It's when we go down and you play a powerful Oaks Christian team like that, and we ended up scoring 34 points on them. That's a pretty big deal. And then turn around and go to Edison, and it's almost like, a lot of times you hate to say it, but you feel like, man, you just beat Oaks Christian, you have kind of a down week, and it's the same thing you kind of think Liberty maybe had. You play a Southern California power, and maybe we get a little complacent, and so the Edison loss was definitely a wake-up call, and I got a couple pictures hanging on my mirror of those guys celebrating, so keeps you up a little bit longer at night, breaking down film. And then, you go down to Salesian, who's a small school but has 12 Division I prospects. I mean, talent-wise, I don't know if we played anybody as good as Salesian. They're loaded. So it was exciting for us to go down there and play as well as we did.
Lemicio, he bettered his totals of the first 3 weeks with the effort that he had against Salesian, had over 150 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. Adding him more into the mix with Marcus gives Marcus a little bit more availability at the linebacker position and makes you guys a more well-rounded team once again. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Everybody says, I guess it's nicknamed the Driller Cat, which is great. But, we've done this now for 3-4 years. Asani probably ran it about 20%, 30% of the time in some games, but it was Asani, so nobody thought it was like a different kid. So it's the same stuff we've been running. It's just now instead of, Kier running it, we have, two of really, two mature physical runners. Bruce is close to 200 pounds and Hill's probably 205, and both of them are very physical. And in high school, those are special kids to have. So we got to find ways to get them the ball, and so they've been learning the Driller Cat for a long time. So it's not something we just put in, and hopefully we get better and better at it, and we're able to mix in our base and give those two guys the ball.
And then going back to tomorrow night, there's nothing easy after this. You go right into SWIL action next week after this game against Ridgeview. 6 more weeks until, phase 3 of this season starts. Where is this team and where the mindset, obviously, offensive and defensively?
I think defensively we're right where we want to be. We've had, I don't know how many points we've given up, but not much. And I think in the secondary, they're very physical this year. They come down in a hurry. And then up front, Marcus has really been, since his freshman year of the playoffs, has been a 4-year starter for us, MVP of the league last year. And then we have big Nigel Brooks that kind of anchors down that nose guard position. And so defensively, we feel good where we're at. I mean, we're not where we want to be by all means, but hopefully here and there where we get exposed. So when we do get to week 6, week 7, and week 8, hopefully that we're able to fix things and adjust things. And that's the great thing about having a tough preseason is learn from it and get better from it. And thus the reason why we went to the Driller Cat a little bit more last week was how to get kids the ball more that we want to get them to.
Tomorrow's October 3rd. Have you thought about the fact that this will be the first Kern County team that you'll face this season going into basically the 6th week of the season?
Have not, but it's going to be good getting home early, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome to go down to Southern California because they don't really know about Kern County football. And when you go down there and you do well, it brings respect to the valley. And we would love to play every preseason down there if we could, and then mix in 1 or 2 teams up here that want to play us. And Ridgeview wanted to play this year. And so it's a fun rival, especially if they're 4-0, and it's going to be exciting for Bakersfield.
And alluding more to that, how is that what you want? I mean, this is a game where most of the state and national publications have both of you in the top 30, top 35 in the state. Does that mean a lot to you to be able to kind of showcase that this late in the non-league season, showcase 2 Kern County teams?
Not really. For us, this is the last chance before we get to league, and then it's the last really phase 1 for us. There's 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And by phase 3, we need to be rocking, and that's what it's about, phase 3. And so we want to end phase 1, obviously on a bang, but it's more importantly, we want to play great football and not think about winning and losing, but think about the process, think about every snap, and not at the end of the game. If we could control every snap, then we'll have an opportunity.
And then finally, Paul, you have a sign behind you that obviously illustrates how great of a season it was for you guys last year. Now that you're almost halfway through this, can you assess just the success that the guys have had, being able to not just be complacent with having that one championship, but be able to drive for a drive for another one?
I think just our schedule being 3-1 right now against a great Oaks Christian team. Oaks lost to Bakersfield, then they lost to the Dons of San Diego in a close game last seconds, and they're a fabulous football team in San Diego. So. And then losing to Edison by 1 point where they're undefeated, and then going down to play a terrific Salesian team that really thinks that they're a state power and called us and wanted to play us, and so it's been great, and I don't think we've dropped off much. I think our kids are hungry and they work hard, and I think we have a little wake-up call with Edison, which is good early, and you want that. You don't want that wake-up call when it matters in the playoffs.
All right, Paul Golla, head coach of Bakersfield Drillers. Paul, thanks for your time here on BVarsity Live.
Thank you, and you guys do a great job, and I appreciate everything you guys do. We all appreciate what you guys do.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, thanks, Paul.
Paul
That was nice
Golla,
of him
head
to
coach
say.
of the Bakersfield Drillers. Thanks for joining us on BVarsity Live.
That was nice of him to say, Trevor. But the best part about that interview, though, was Lewis making Trevor upset over there. That was
The best part about it was Gola saying it again.
that was high comedy. So anyway, that's Paul Golla of Bakersfield High. When we come back, we'll talk to Dennis Manning of Ridgeview and kind of get the other side of this big matchup coming up this weekend at the Wolfpack's home. We'll be right back on BVarsity Live.